But one of the things I'm interested in to really gain from you is to get from you what you began to believe about the world and your fellow man. And by fellow man, I mean, you know, women and men. Did you trust people?
I don't think I had a state of distrust in people,
Okay.
but I didn't have much confidence in myself for sure in social situations. Yeah, so maybe in answer to that, I didn't trust myself. Be good in these situations that
Mm,
people would be interested in listening to me, that I could be liked in new situations, that I had the ability to converse,
yeah,
uh, interesting topics with other people. Um, I found small talk very difficult. I
yeah,
think because of my anxieties that had developed through the bullying and my confidence in my body image. I guess it was a big body image issue for me at the
right.
time, which I think a lot of teenagers go through, regardless of whether it's um, their weight or their hair or their skin and anything in between.
Yeah.
Um, Definitely my social confidence and what I've come to realize as an adult is that most people are going through the same thing.
Yes.
They're worrying what everyone else thinks about them. Um, they're not really thinking about you, and you're
No.
there worrying what do they think about you,
Yeah.
and everyone's
If
far
only
more
we realized, huh? If only
exactly.
we realized.
Yeah.
But eventually you did realize. And what I'm interested to know is when did you start to figure all of this out? Was there any sort of aha moment, or was it a gradual process of just growth and understanding and achieving a level of wisdom? What made you grow out of the victim mentality, I suppose is what I'm looking for.
Two things. One was building an excellent group of friends, having a really tight knit group of friends that I spent a lot of time with, socially, physically. We were doing lots of activities like surfing and spending time in nature. I grew up in West Wales, so we had access to the coastline the whole
Mhm.
time. Um, Albeit being boys, we all teased the life out of each other the whole time anyway. So maybe we carried that bullying through into our circle of friends and tortured each other in other ways. Funnily enough, somehow there was a little bit more love in it, maybe, and it kind of brought us together. Even though, yeah, we definitely picked on each other, and that definitely was an echo from childhood for
Yeah.
sure, which I don't think is very good. This whole sort of banter culture really goes too far a lot of the time.
It gets out of control on occasions when people start passing through what are considered the normal limits of reasonable behavior. And
Yeah.
I think there's also this thing called groupthink sometimes where you get a bunch of people together and sort of point of view is established. Woe betide you if anybody starts going against that,
Mm.
because then you've stuck your head above the parapet, and so what was banter becomes almost gospel after a while. And so
Yeah.
it can get a little bit dangerous when guys get together and put their thoughts on the table. And if people sort of get carried away with it, that's when I find it can get a little bit scary. But well done for surpassing that. But
You.
now I'm fascinated to know about how you developed from that. The man who had suffered and overcome into a more enlightened individual. I mean, you are now a very strong exponent of the martial art that I understand is called Qigong. Could you tell me a little bit about Qigong before we get too much into the depth of how you got involved with it?
Yeah, Qigong is a healing martial art form from China. Really, it's an umbrella term for many martial arts, if not all. Qi is a Mandarin word, which means breath. It also translates to life force energy. And gong means hard work or to cultivate, such as in kung fu. Kung fu Kung Fu effectively means hard training. Qigong then could be translated as breath work, breath training, or if you wanted to go slightly more esoterically, the work we do to cultivate life force. So Qigong can be an umbrella term for anything that we find nurturing and nourishing our lives. However, what I practice is specifically Qigong for health and for longevity. So Qigong as a particular martial art or system within the martial arts system.
Sure. Oh, that's fascinating. But you did refer to it as a martial art, and it has a violent dimension to it, doesn't it?
It
Could you
can
explain
do.
that?
Yes. So the Qigong I practice is Shaolin style mostly. I also practice Tai Chi, and Tai Chi is a form of Qigong because it is work we're doing to cultivate our Qi. As it's in the name, Tai Chi also has Qi in it. Qigong as a martial activity, you're learning stances, you're practicing strength conditioning stances that would transfer into other martial arts such as Kung Fu or even karate if we're looking at Japanese martial arts. And by cultivating your Qi, cultivating your strength, cultivating your energy and your focus, you can apply those techniques, that strength, that focus, that power, and that intention of power and that cultivation of energy and force into a combat art form to make your selected combat art form far more powerful. A great example of this in pop culture would be Bruce Lee and his 1-inch punch. That 1-inch punch is achievable through directed chi, through that directed energy, being able to force or move his chi through his arm using his entire body to then create that force and that power in a very short distance. You could just swing a punch, but Bruce Lee can get equal, if not more force from a swung punch as he can, or as he could from that 1-inch punch, using that focus training, using that chi training and application.
Oh, man, that's powerful.
It's powerful.
And one of the things that fascinates me about what you do is it's, as much as it's physical, it's also hugely cerebral. I mean, my understanding is that it allows you to focus on your thoughts and your feelings and to then find a way to deal with those and to bring them into reality. Could you maybe give me a little bit of insight as to how you work with the mind as well as the body?
Yeah, sure. Qigong involves slow and precise movements or static postures synchronized with the breath. When we slow our movements down and we start to apply our focus to tiny elements of these movements, tiny techniques or tiny applications, such as the subtle moving of the hand or the hand positioning, our mind is suddenly focused directly on the body, directly on the movements. What this does is takes away the distractions of the mind, which could be stress from work, stress from relationships, worries about the house or finances, these sorts of things. So when we practice Qigong, the first thing that really I found a lot of benefit from when I first started was the attention to the movement and the focus on the breath prevents the mind talking to us about all these other elements, which usually begin to manifest themselves as stress or anxiety or depression within the body, if you wanted to give those thoughts these labels. Through the mindful practice, we create a state of dynamic meditation, and that dynamic meditation allows us to calm that, what some people may call the monkey brain, just clanging cymbals and making noise in the back of our head, telling us telling us that we should be doing something else. It allows us to take that down and even remove it from that moment in time, so that we can be in a flow state or in a state of stillness and meditation, which is really, really powerful for the modern day. So to apply it on a daily basis. You can use it within your practice, or you can use it at work,
Sure.
or in social situations, in stressful situations, when you're affronted with something that triggers you or causes you to want to respond defensively or aggressively, or for instance, respond in the way you would respond if you'd been bullied in the past.
Yes.
What we learn through these techniques in the Qigong system, through the strength and conditioning work, through the meditative work, through the attention to movement and attention to the body and to the breath, is to step back, is to breathe, is to give yourself time to respond.
Yeah. That is so important. I find that those 2 seconds between emotion and response are so, so critical. I mean, in my own experience, I've had situations where I was triggered by something or somebody who did or said something that took me way back to a bullying experience. It was almost, instant. And I responded to it negatively and created all merry hell as a result. And with the benefit of hindsight, if I'd only had a few seconds to breathe, to think, and to analyze the situation, I would have realized that I wasn't under attack. I wasn't in any way being threatened. It was just a phrase or an emotion that had been conjured up in my mind, and I just went for it. I responded from the gut. And so often that's what people who have been bullied do, and it creates all sorts of secondary troubles and problems. And so that's why I find what you do so, so powerful.